The Journey to Hooterville. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer who barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubble and crude oil, that is, black gold. Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed is a millionaire. The kinfolk said, "Jed, move away from there." Said, "California is the place you ought to be." So they loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars. The Beverly Hillbillies. On a bright and sunny morning in their grand Beverly Hills mansion, Jed Clampett stood on the front porch, looking out over the manicured lawn. He turned his head and called out to the house, asking if anyone had seen anything of Duke. Granny stepped out, smoothing her apron, and told him that Duke had gone out front with Ellie Mae to fetch the mail. Jed nodded, mentioning that he sure wished they would hurry because he was expecting a letter from his sweetie in Hooterville. Granny chuckled and asked if it was Sam Drucker. Jed smiled and said she had guessed it correctly, noting that Sam was his fella. Granny called Jed a sweet old rascal and told him that Sam belonged in the share yard. Jed looked at Granny with a thoughtful expression and remarked that she and Sam seemed to be getting kind of serious. He asked if she thought it was kind of silly for someone so old to be feeling that way. Granny shook her head firmly and said not at all, adding that she certainly was no chicken herself. Just then, Ellie Mae came running up, shouting for Granny and telling her she had a letter from Hooterville. Granny grew excited and reached out, but Ellie Mae told her she had to let her have it as it was coming with the rest of the mail by Pony Express. Jethro came galloping up, pretending to be a rider, and Granny urged him on, calling him Red Rider and pleading for her letter. Granny grumbled that the mail was not slow enough and that she had to have an ape for a postmaster. She finally got a letter and took a deep whiff, saying it was a thing from Sam. Jed took a sniff too and agreed it smelled mighty good, though Granny insisted it was not as good as Sam's letters usually were. She sorted through the rest, finding one for Jethro from Billy Joe Bradley. Jethro tried to grab it, but Granny kept sniffing. She found another one for Jethro from Bobby Joe Bradley and noted that it smelled better than Billy Joe's letter, but still not as good as Sam's. Jethro was eager for his mail, but Granny called him a little goomare and threatened to play cowboy and Indian, promising that the Indian would win if he did not wait. She opened her letter from Sam, calling him a romantic devil. She said the scent was so good, she was almost scared to sniff it. Jed leaned in and suggested that he might be wrong, but it smelled like spare rib to him. Granny beamed and said she told him he was a romantic devil, remembering that the last letter smelled like hemhocks and the one before that like pickled pig's feet. Jed joked that she ought to keep Sam's picture in a lard can. Granny realized the scent had gone beyond spare rib and was more like well done sow belly. She told everyone to sit down because this was bound to be a proposal. Jed, trying to be the voice of reason, asked Granny if she reckoned those fragrances could be on account of Sam writing his letters on butcher paper. Granny dismissed the idea, saying it was no accident and that the rascal knew exactly what he was doing by stirring up fires she thought were banked for good. She told Jethro she wanted to be alone while she read her love letter. Jethro scoffed, asking if she thought she had a love letter and told her to get a whiff of his. He claimed both of the beautiful Bradley girls had promised to marry him. Granny was shocked and asked if he meant both of them at the same time. Jethro explained that as a big Hollywood producer, he was expected to have lots of wives. Granny corrected him, saying he could not have them at the same time. Jethro simply decided they would have to take turns, marrying Billy Joe one day and Bobby Joe the next. Jed remarked that Jethro marries like he eats, never waiting for the second helping. Granny sat down and told Jed she would read him her letter. Jed asked if it was not kind of personal. Granny admitted he might find it a mite racy, but since he was a grown man, she would allow it. She gave him a fair warning that if it gave him high blood, he should just raise his hand and leave the room. She began reading. "Dear Granny, I hope you will come to Hooterville for Christmas. All of you." Granny paused, thrilled that Sam wanted all of her. Jed noted that Sam did not seem to rot in his teeth. Granny continued reading about how Sam had saved his sausage, skinned his chitlins, and hung his ham, hoping she liked them sugar. Granny called him a bold rascal for calling her sugar. Jed looked over her shoulder and pointed out that the word sugar went with the next line, meaning sugar-cured hams. Granny snapped at him to read his own mail. Jed said he was just trying to help. Granny told him to make arrangements to get them to Hooterville, and she would take it from there. Jed agreed and said he would go talk to Mr. Drysdale. Granny went back to her letter, whispering to the paper for Sam to lay it on the line. Ellie Mae asked if they were really going to Hooterville for Christmas. Granny confirmed it, but told her not to bother her while she waited for the proposal. Ellie Mae asked if Mr. Drysdale was going to take care of her critters like he did at Thanksgiving. Granny said yes. Ellie Mae told her bear, Fairchild, that Mr. Drysdale would be giving him breakfast in bed again. Down at the bank, Jane Hathaway was talking to Mr. Drysdale. He was upset because the employees were calling him Ebenezer Scrooge. Jane told him that in all fairness, he did not display much holiday spirit. Mr. Drysdale defended himself, saying he gave them half a day off on Christmas. Jane pointed out that they wanted to be with their families, but Mr. Drysdale claimed his employees could not afford families and were lucky not to be in jail. He showed her a suggestion from his box that he considered shocking and sadistic. Jane suggested a Christmas bonus, but Mr. Drysdale refused to commercialize the holiday. Jed walked in and greeted them. Mr. Drysdale tried to act generous, claiming he was a father image to his employees. Back at the mansion, Granny was preparing for a surgery. She told Jethro to get her gloves out of the sterilizer. She was anxious to get to Hooterville. She told Jethro to fix the patient on the operating table and hold him down while she made an incision. Jethro asked who the patient was, and when Granny said it was Fairchild the bear, Jethro refused. He did not want to hold down a bear while she whittled on him. Granny explained she had to remove the letter Sam sent from the bear's stomach because Fairchild had eaten it. She promised to give the bear a jolt of anesthetic, but Jethro said he wanted no part of a drunk bear. Granny called him a chicken in turn. Jethro admitted he would hold a chicken, but not a bear. Granny decided to use her X-ray camera instead. Jethro doubted the camera could see inside a bear. Granny's plan involved mixing flash powder with honey so the bear would swallow it, then setting it off by having the bear touch a live electricity socket with its tongue. The plan resulted in a loud explosion. Later, Jane Hathaway saw Jethro and asked if he had been set upon by angry bank employees. Jethro explained they were powder burns from the flash powder. He told her he had stuck his tongue in a light socket. Jethro then asked to borrow Jane's red convertible to drive to Hooterville to impress the Bradley girls. In Hooterville, Sam Drucker was at his store with Billy Joe and Bobby Joe. They were mailing more letters to Jethro, laughing about how they were fooling him into thinking they would both marry him. Sam worried they might scare the Clampetts away, but the girls knew Granny would not miss a chance to see her sweetie. Sam admitted he had written his letters on butcher paper. Back in Beverly Hills, Granny was distraught. She did not know if Sam's letter contained a proposal because the bear had eaten it. Jed suggested she call Sam and hint around. Granny thought that was a great idea. When she got Sam on the phone, she asked him about the question he had asked in the letter. Sam told her the question was whether they would all come to Hooterville for Christmas. Granny was disappointed and asked if there was another question. Sam said he could not remember everything and asked where the letter was. Granny said he would not believe her. She asked if she should pack something old and something new for a wedding. Sam, pressured by the Bradley girls, told her they would talk about it when she arrived. Jed asked if they were ready to start for Hooterville. Jethro suddenly refused to go. He said Mr. Drysdale told him he would go to jail for bigamy and something called a prolinoli dictum if he showed up in Hooterville. He was terrified of the electric chair after his experience with the light socket. Jed told him he was just dreaming and decided to leave him behind. Jed and the family went to the bank to say goodbye to Mr. Drysdale. Jed asked Jane if she would drive them to Hooterville. She happily agreed. Jethro decided to stay with Mr. Drysdale in case he needed a lawyer. Ellie Mae left Fairchild the bear with Mr. Drysdale, who was less than thrilled. Granny gave Mr. Drysdale a present from the bank tellers. As they drove away, Mr. Drysdale held the gift, which was ticking loudly. He cried as he realized he was stuck with a bear and a suspicious package for Christmas. Well, now it is time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You are all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of their hospitality. Hillbilly that is. Set a spell, take your shoes off. You all come back now, here?